So you're looking for those running back sleepers in your underdog leagues and your redraft leagues. Maybe you're doing a late round running back strategy. I have some guys I believe that could be sleepers, and I can help you win your championship going into the 2023 season. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, go to flockfantasy.com/land. The best way to support what Zach and I are doing. You can get our rankings, bonus articles and bonus videos. You can upload your own rankings and so much more, not only from Zach and myself, but all the other content creators out there. And you get 30% off at sign up, which is a phenomenal deal. So once again, flockfantasy.com/land, the best way to support what we're doing here. And one last thing, Underdog. Yes, we do have an Underdog partnership. Use our promo code LAND, LAND, at sign up and deposit match up to $100. So if you deposit 100, you get 100 match there. So you have 200 in total to kind of play with. So once again, go to flockfantasy.com and underdog.com, both using our promo code LAND. Something special might happen over there. So let's get straight into the video. My first running back sleeper that I think you should go out and be drafting in your later rounds in your underdog draft, or maybe even your redraft leagues with your home leagues, whatever the case may be. It's a duo, and that's Antonio Gibson and or Brian Robinson. You kind of pick your poison here. It doesn't really matter which one. I think both of them kind of give you some sort of upside. Whichever one you can get later is also an upside, but I really want to focus on Antonio Gibson in this one, okay? Antonio Gibson right now, an underdog, running back 39. He's my RB 37. Brian Robinson is my 36. I see them really back to back in my rankings. Yes, Antonio Gibson does have the upside in the passing game. We have been talking about this the whole time in the offseason. Yes, Brian Robinson, I think, is a good first and second down, even goal line back. But if you're looking for upside, some PPR opportunities, especially in PPR leagues, whether it's underdog or in your redraft leagues, Antonio Gibson gives you that edge that you want. Last year, 46 receptions out of 58 targets in the air with over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, the biggest question is, how long can Antonio Gibson stay on the field? One of the biggest concerns last year was his fumble issues. And we saw that coming into the preseason. He fumbled early in the preseason. Brian Robinson came in, looked, in my opinion, significantly better at the time than Antonio Gibson. Then Brian Robinson gets into that incident where he gets shot, misses the first 5 games. And then it was shaky from there. And then Antonio Gibson had the range for the first 4 weeks until Brian Robinson came on. But once again, we're always here on this channel, especially in redraft. You're looking for upside, PPR opportunity. And if Antonio Gibson is going to continue on this pace with 46 receptions out of 58 targets, especially with this new offensive coordinator coming in with Eric Bieniemy, knowing how to use his running backs. I know maybe the play calling did come from Andy Reid, but the way that they utilize, running backs over there in Kansas City with Jerick McKinnon, Isaiah Pacheco, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and how versatile they use their running backs, especially their pass catching backs, Antonio Gibson could be the guy that we might want to lean on this year in this offense, especially with Sam Howell, now taking the range. Now, my only pushback there is that, yes, now it's Sam Howell, and maybe they want to result in them running the ball a little bit more. But I can kind of see both scenarios. Maybe Brian Robinson doesn't get his feet wet early on, and maybe it's Antonio Gibson gets his feet early on in the air. That's why I think both of these guys are a good draft opportunity coming into the season, and they're all getting drafted in the later rounds in underdog drafts and in your redraft leagues. So once again, Antonio Gibson, running back 39, my RB 37. I think he's a good running back sleeper. My second running back sleeper on this list is Damian Harris. He is a guy that I'm actually really excited for in a redraft perspective. He is currently RB 38 in underdog drafts. In my rankings, he's also my RB 38. But what's really intriguing is that he is now with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. One of my biggest things every single year was that they need to get a true running back, a true guy on the ground that can run in between the tackles, and it can get them extra yards instead of Josh Allen. We saw the concerns with Josh Allen and his injury. Not saying that he did miss time, but it was like, oh, well, Josh Allen looks a little bit different because he was injured, or we don't want him to get injured. He's a true running back in this backfield, and maybe that's still the case. But what Damian Harris brings here is the power that you need in the first and second down goals and in the goal line. Let me remind you, in 2021, Damian Harris but he was a top 3 running back, scoring 15 touchdowns that season. That was more than Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Derrick Henry, right? Amongst those names, he scored more touchdowns with 15 touchdowns that year. He was a top 15 running back in 2021 when he was with the New England Patriots. Now insert Damian Harris, into this Buffalo Bills offense with James Cook. There's no doubt in my mind he is going to be the goal line guy, and he may not be getting any opportunities in the air, but if he is in this high-powered offense that constantly is going to be going into the red zone and maybe are in the 5-yard line, 10-yard line, he can easily, maybe have 7 to 8 carries for 30 yards, but 3 touchdowns, right? That is the type of upside that I'm looking for, especially late in my underdog drafts. So if you can, draft Damian Harris. The third running back on my list that I believe you should be getting, and I believe that he is a late round running back sleeper, that is Devin Singletary. He is currently RB 51 in the community right now on Underdog, and right now he is my RB 47. And look, it doesn't sound sexy, but there is a pathway. There is some opportunity. Yes, Dameon Pierce is the #1 running back in this backfield, but as always, we're looking for upside. We're looking, especially in a PPR format, we are looking for someone that can catch the ball out of the air, and especially Devin Singletary. We've seen that in his career, especially with Buffalo. Let me just remind you, last year finished RB 23 in the air, specifically caught 38 out of 52 receptions, over 280 yards in the air. And now, yes, Devin Singletary in my eyes is not the better running back in this offense, and wasn't the better running back in Buffalo's offense, because I am a James Cook believer, and that his talents are superior in the passing game specifically. But Devin Singletary is no dud, right? It's no joke. Let me remind you, in 2021, he was a league-winning back in the second half of the season. Weeks 14 to 18, Devin Singletary was RB2 in that stretch of games, and he was a league-winning guy, which resulted in Devin Singletary being, I would say, a mid to early late running back draft pick with the leading up to the season, right? Until James Cook got picked up, and everyone was like, well, James Cook is just going to be the pass catching back, and Devin Singletary is going to be on the ground. But now that Devin Singletary is specifically going to be the pass catching back in this offense, which once again I feel really confident in, I think we can see some upside here. And let me remind you, last year when Dameon Pierce, did miss those last couple weeks, 5 to 6 weeks of the season, Rex Burkhead kind of took over and had that opportunity in the air, specifically, once again, in the air, not in the ground. Caught 37 out of 51 targets from Rex Burkhead, and that's not even including everyone else that was also in that mix over there in Houston. Now, if Singletary can get that workload and so much more, I think we can see some spike weeks, especially in the second half of the season, especially if this offense is not as good with CJ Stroud off the jump as a rookie quarterback. He might be leaning in more dump off passes, more, third and longs, maybe throwing some screens to Devin Singletary. And I think that's exactly what we want to see in a late round running back, especially in your underdog draft. So once again, Devin Singletary, RB 51 in the community right now. And I think he is a great running back sleeper. My fourth running back that I believe you should be going out and drafting in your late rounds, in your underdog drafts right now, man, this one gets me really excited, and that is Elijah Mitchell. I know, why does this get you excited? Because we've seen the history with CMC. Yes, CMC is on this team, without a doubt, right? He had his first full season in the past 3 years. In 2020 and 2021, he did miss a significant amount of time. And just touching on that, in 2020 and 2022, he played a combined total of 10 games, which means he's missed 24 combined games in the past 2 years out of the 34 games that he could have played. Now, I am not saying CMC is going to fall off and get injured again, but I think this is what we need to prepare ourselves for. 27-year-old running back, in an offense where no doubt they are going to run him to the ground. Now, does CMC miss 2-4 games this year? Maybe. And if he does, who is going to take over that option? Who is going to take over in this backfield? And that is Elijah Mitchell, which we saw, once again, couple years removed now, where he was a top 24 running back before they got CMC. And coming into this year, coming into last year, excuse me, he was a my guy on redraft, and unfortunately he gets injured and they trade for CMC. There was big things moving on for Elijah Mitchell, and yes, he is not going to be a top 20 back. But if CMC does miss time, Elijah Mitchell is going to be a good running back sleeper in those spike weeks, especially in underdog when you need CMC in the second half of the season, he can give you those points. And we've seen, the glimpses of opportunity, especially with CMC on the field. So not only can he take over this workload in the backfield, but he is going to be involved. Weeks 10 to 11. Let me tell you the opportunities that he's got. 18 touches on the ground in week 10 when CMC had 14, outsnapped him. Week 11, 9 attempts on the ground for 59 yards. CMC, 7 attempts on the ground that game. Week 12, 7 attempts on the ground, 35 yards, excuse me. Two out of 2 passes out of the air. CMC in week 12, 11 opportunities on the ground. So it's essentially a 60 to 40 workload at the moment in that span, without a doubt. And then Elijah Mitchell gets injured again. So I wonder if Elijah Mitchell and Christian McCaffrey can play a full season together. What does that look like? No doubt CMC is going to be the ultimate bell cow in this backfield, but maybe it's not a 80-20, maybe it's a 60-40, maybe it's a 50-50, but CMC no doubt is a superior back here. And if I can get Elijah Mitchell in the late rounds right now, once again, RB 41 in the community, he can definitely help me win some leagues. My last running back sleeper on this list that, once again, could be a little bit controversial, but in the second half of the season, I think he can have a phenomenal bounce back, and that is Alvin Kamara. Now, he is currently an underdog RB 31. He is my RB 31 in redraft right now. But the reason why I'm so excited, and I think a lot of people are overlooking him, and let's just get the elephant out of the room. He could be suspended. He probably will be suspended, and that's going to be up to 6 games. Now, the second elephant in the room, Kendre Miller is there. Jamal Williams is there. What's going to happen, right? The third elephant, is he going to get traded? Maybe he does get traded. Maybe he goes to another team. What if he goes to the Chiefs? What if he goes to the Bills? He's going to go to a contender if he does walk. Now, this is a risky play, but if you can get him into the mid to late rounds in your underdog drafts or in your rookie or in your redraft leagues, I'm going to be very interested, especially if I have the depth. Now, a lot of things that a lot of people think about Alvin Kamara is that, maybe he's injury prone. He's kind of falling off. He hasn't really, right? I think it's the misuse of Alvin Kamara that we are misdiagnosing, I guess you can say, for what we've seen. Going all the way back to 2017, Alvin Kamara has always been a top 10 running back, and that was essentially like his rookie season, or the year after his rookie season. 2017, RB3, third in targets. 2018, RB4, fourth in targets. 2019, RB9, fourth in targets. 2020, RB1, second in targets. 2021, RB8, sixth in targets. And in 2020, he was RB16, fifth in targets. And those last 2 years, in 2021 and in 2022, that's when we saw Dennis Allen kind of come up and have continue the misuse of Alvin Kamara. Not only is a misuse there on the ground, but in the air is still efficient. Second, sixth, fifth. He's always been a top 6 running back in targets amongst running backs. And I think that is what you want in a PPR format. That is what you want in your underdog leagues. That's what you look for. Now, you're probably going to have to go through the stretch of no points in the first 6 weeks. But once Alvin Kamara is on that field in the last 12 weeks of the season, however many games he's going to be playing, that is what we are looking for. And Another misconception about Alvin Kamara is the games that he might have missed. He's missed 10 games out of the 88 games in the last 6 years that he's played. That is phenomenal for Alvin Kamara. The most games that Alvin Kamara has missed was 4 games in total, 4 games in 1 year, and that was in 2021. Every other year, it might have been 2, it might have been 1, it might have been 0, but normally Alvin Kamara is playing a full slate of games or is missing 1 to 2 games most likely. So once again, Alvin Kamara, my RB31. Yes, you may have to sit on him for the first 6 weeks, but once he's on the field, whatever team he's on, I'm believing he's going to be the pass catching back in this game. On this team, he's going to be the goal line guy on this team as well. We've seen the success. I don't think if they draft Kendrick Miller, they get Jamal Williams, that they're just going to be done with Alvin. He's still on contract. He's still one of the best running backs in the league, and I don't think they're just going to fade him away like that. And if they do, I hope they trade him to a different team. So once again, Alvin Kamara, Elijah Mitchell, Devin Singletary, Damian Harris, Antonio Gibson, and Brian Robinson are my top 5 running back sleepers going into the 2023 season. Guys, comment down below. Let me know which running backs you like. And as always, it's all love.
Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.